Tell you the awful fucking truth.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I love.
Thank you so much for your support.
January, February, into March and April. Same way too.
Thank you, thank you.
May, June, or July.
Fucking hell! Horrid!
I never
Absolutely
let a day
horrid!
go by.
I give you shower and you snaky with me. What the fuck did I do to you?
Go away in August or September, in October and November, not to mention warm December. I love
Half a dozen pieces of fucking
so
shit.
another year has gone, I'm ready for the next one too.
If I can be with you.
Every single second, every minute, every hour, all the whole year through. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I love you.
I'm ArchieLuxury. Tell me what you fuckers think of that.
Hello and good morning from Canada. This is not Jonathan Quayle-Higgins, but I am joined with Jonathan Quayle-Higgins. How are you doing this afternoon?
Hey, I'm doing very good. Beautiful, sunny summer day here in Germany. All is good. And yeah, having some watch talk. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. It's the Paddock website's not really agreeing with me here. I thought I was gonna do a bit of a joke with you and your stupid comment about me selling my 5212.
Actually, you know, when I see that circle, I'm freaking out that it's my internet again. So
no, it's me. It's me.
yeah, that's at the moment.
I think it's the Paddock website it's not agreeing with me today for some reason. But yeah, no, I was I was talking to Jonathan a little while ago, and I was like, hey, there's nothing really going on this morning. Are you doing a show later today? And I think you got a pretty action-packed show coming up on your stream at Swiss and John today, right?
Yeah, hopefully, yes. Yes, it's getting bigger and bigger. So Swiss has confirmed that he's joining me, and also Jamie Opulence will join me, and hopefully we will have Benjamin Chia on the show.
That's going to be awesome. I'd love to hear because I think there was a recent article that Benjamin. I think they did a recent article on
Yes.
some of his watches. So it'd be interesting to see just kind of his take and stuff like the fucking guy. Eh? Like Thomas Burnett's like, are you selling it? No, I am not selling the 5212. It's our friend Mr. Higgins running a false flag narrative.
You see how easy it is to spread false narratives in the watch community.
My God, man, it's not good, man. It's not good. Everyone's gonna freak out when they hear this kind of false rumor. But no, I'm not selling the 5212. It's definitely
at the moment.
Yeah. Let me see if the longest site works better than the Patek site.
Of course.
Yeah, it's definitely German engineering, right? The Swiss just haven't perfected it. But yeah, Jonathan, what's been new with you? I know that you just picked up your Fabergé egg from the UK, and yeah, let's catch up. What's been new with you? What's the news?
So yeah, the Fabergé egg is the biggest news. Not sure if you want to see it here live on camera, or if I'm boring everybody to death with it.
There's only 10 people watching right now, and Saad's there, so I'm sure it'll just annoy Saad. So feel free to pop it up if you have it.
Okay, yeah, annoying Saad is one of my hobbies. So let me try to do that.
While you do that, I'll say hi to folks in the chat. We got Jonathan Quayle-Higgins, we've got Saad the billionaire himself, and we've got Thomas Burnett, a good friend of the channel. And I will put you full screen here, Mr. Higgins, for you to talk to us about the egg, the famous Fabergé egg.
Yeah.
So where did this start? Where did you? I mean, obviously this took a while to create. Where did the idea start from in your mind? Like,
So the idea started 40 years ago. I'm a big James Bond fan, as you know, and 40 years ago there was a James Bond movie called Octopussy in the cinema. And the movie is around a Fabergé egg, which surprisingly turns up. Yeah, it is. It turns out to be a fake, but the real one is going to be auctioned off in London, and James Bond is going then on a mission. And ever since I've seen that egg, yeah, exactly, that whole milk. That's exactly the reason why I'm wearing those dodgy gloves.
I had to pull that up. It's just that was really cheeky.
The reason why I'm wearing that
just before you move on. So the original movie prop that has not been auctioned off, or it already was auctioned off.
It has been auctioned off 1 year ago. I think it sold for $450,000. Eon Production owns 2 of those eggs, and they auctioned off 1 last year, and it sold for $450,000. And what you see here is exactly the same materials, exactly the same make, exactly the same size, everything just like the original. I must be careful not to dox myself here in the reflection, but so this is a real deal made by the same people who made the original egg. And
okay, so that's interesting. So you contacted the original company that made the movie prop, and they because obviously the movie was made many years ago, right? How difficult was that for them to accept the commission to do this kind of a project?
It was easy for them to accept the mission, but they were unfortunately over-promising and under delivering. So this story started 15 years ago when I met a guy who was kind of the project manager of those Fabergé eggs that have been done for Eon Productions by Asprey, by the way, famous London jewelry store.
Oh yeah.
He was working for the silversmith, and he's a specialist in Fabergé egg. Now here starts the problem. There are no plans. There are no dimensions known of how the original eggs looked like. And the first guy, he made me 2 eggs. And unfortunately, during the process already, I could tell that the dimensions were off. The dimensions were wrong. For example, the dimension from the underbody to the overbody, the coach was wrong. And he told me, trust me, just looks bad from the pictures. Trust me, you will get a perfect egg. Well, he made 2 eggs, which were beautiful, but they were not accurate. And so after 3 or 4 years, I had to can the project, ask for my money back. And then I went to another guy who owned the company that worked for them, and we started all over again. And the story repeated.
Oh, we got some people. We got Saad joining us, by the way.
Yeah, the story repeated then. He told me, yeah, I know exactly what I'm doing. You will get a 100% accurate egg. And after a couple of years, he came up with the egg, but the proportions were wrong again. So then we started researching. We have some nasty, mean people in the James Bond community. And
would you say the James Bond community is more toxic than the wristwatch community?
No, actually not. The James Bond community is actually very friendly, very helpful. No toxicity, no loyalty test, nothing really.
Well, I mean, I would put a loyalty test on you because for those that don't know, Jonathan Quill Higgins' favorite James Bond film is Quantum of Solace of all movies.
What? Spreading false rumors.
Wow, if you're spreading false rumors about me in the paddock, I'll spread false rumors.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough, yeah. So Quantum of Solace is shit. And yeah, unfortunately, that is the truth. So it took another like 10 years until we got the egg done. And the main problem was that crest here, because nobody really had proper pictures about how that crest looks like. And I kid you not, we were working for the last 5 years on the coach. The coach was the biggest mystery, and we couldn't get it right. Particularly, you see that little surface at the side. We had no idea how that looks like. Also here on the rear side, there is a little structure, and we didn't know how that looks like. And then, fortunately, we got access to the real egg, and then we could take the dimensions. And
how did you get access to the real egg? Because obviously it's either in a private
I can't tell
collection
you
or...
that.
Okay,
I can't
but well, can you answer? Was it in a private collection? Was it in an auction house? Like, was it?
It was in a private collection. Yeah.
Okay, so they gave you access to it. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And
cool.
we measured then the original egg with my egg, and my egg is 2 millimeters off. And we just did everything based on visual reference. And I think we did a pretty good job with that.
So overall, you're happy
coach,
with it. And how long did this take? Like, it's been a number of years, right? This isn't like
all in all 15 years. 15 years.
Jesus Christ. 15 years.
My first emails that I had with the silversmith were 15 years ago. And here you can see, you can flip that compartment open.
Yeah.
And Christina Wayborn, who was the Bond girl back then, she signed that egg.
That is amazing.
I always hoped that Roger Moore would be able to sign it, but unfortunately the project took too long. Roger Moore is not with us anymore, so he couldn't sign it. But Christina Wayborn signed it.
And when did you get the opportunity? When did you get the opportunity to get her to sign the egg? Because you just picked it up, right? So.
Yes. So there was an event celebrating 40 years of Octopussy, and Christina Wayborn was invited, and a friend of mine, he took the egg and got it signed by her.
We got a serious watch question here from LV, who asks 3940 or 3970, which is a perpetual calendar versus a perpetual chronograph calendar. Which would you actually buy and wear? Now, if I could get a 3970, I would actually buy it and wear it. But I don't think it's a bit out of reach. And I think at that money, I may be looking probably at a newer perpetual calendar chronograph versus a 3970. But I love the 3970. It's one of my favorite watches. But realistically, I'm probably in the 3940 range. And even the 3940s have shot up in price pretty significantly, that I would be, you can get a 5327 or a 5320 perpetual calendar, a more modern one, in probably the high 60s. Which is about a 30% discount off retail, which is close to what the 3940s are going for. So, yeah, I would probably go with, like, personally speaking, a 5320. I just love the original 1591 watch that it's based off of. So, yeah, that's kind of what I would do, LV. I'd probably go with a 3940 realistically, but if the stars aligned and I could get a 3970, that would definitely be a grail for me. We've got our good friend. Sorry, go ahead, Jonathan.
Isn't the 3940 a little bit small for you?
Both of them are 36. And no, I don't. And look, I mean, the 3940 is it's a legendary watch, right? That was Philippe Stern's, like, that was the watch he wore. And it was a long production run, like, I think like 20 years or something. So definitely a pretty historic piece for the brand. But yeah, look, I don't mind a dress piece between 36 and 39. Realistically, I think those are a pretty sweet spot size for a dress watch. We got our good friend Hoff on Smash, $2, who says, looks like the egg that hatched like this snake. It's great to see Hoff on Smash back, man. He's a really, really cool guy. Amazing collection, just really awesome to see him. I love chatting with him. Him and I talk on WhatsApp and whenever he's around. But yeah, Hoff, give me a shout later on, man. I just want to catch up, see how you're doing.
So I just wanted to bore you with another story. When I was selling Patek Philippe, the 3940 was the perpetual calendar at that time. Yep. And we sold plenty of those IWC Da Vinci's because they were really cheap compared to other perpetual calendars. There were not many perpetual calendars out there. So we sold a lot of those Da Vinci's. Very often we sold the AP perpetual calendar, and very rarely somebody really was putting out the money and bought the Patek Philippe. And to me, the 3940 is always iconic and the big thing. And I really love the 3940, particularly in white gold. I think it's so much better in
white gold. Is
than
amazing. But you own a perpetual counter. You went Lange for your perpetual counter, right? And for me, you know, when people ask like, what would you spend your money on in a Grail piece, right? And that kind of money when you're over $100,000 or what have you. And you know, for me, I like calendar watches, and for me, the Grail is the perpetual calendar. Obviously, a perpetual chrono is better, but you know, if I think realistically, what's achievable, you know, for me, it's really the perpetual calendar, and in a perpetual calendar, I'm really gunning towards Patek Philippe. Because like you said, there are cheaper perpetuals out there. JLC makes a perpetual, which is a great perpetual, but you know, for me, that's a Grail complication. If it's a Grail complication, I really don't want to cheap out on it. I want to get something that I feel is worthy of that complication and the finishing and the brand and the heritage and the history. So that's the way I look at it.
I have to disappoint you a little bit. I would take the Lange perpetual calendar over any Patek Philippe perpetual calendar. That may come not as a surprise for you. I just listened yesterday night's Archie show, and Don Haynes was smashing Lange again for having ridiculous service prices. And you know, I'm always on the defense, particularly for Lange and Söhne. So I checked the service prices for a perpetual calendar and for an automatic three-hander. So do you want to take a guess how much servicing a three-hander watch with that three-quarter rotor costs with Lange?
I'll go €1,500.
1,300.
Okay, so I was close.
So perpetual calendar.
€2,500.
2,200.
Oh, so I'm fucking close, man. I'm literally like not that far off. Yeah.
I think Patek is charging the same amounts. And
yeah.
Of course, it's a lot of money, but you have to keep in mind, in the case of Lange, they're double assembling also the service watches, and it's a lot of work. You have to make sure that you're not damaging the screws. You must make sure there are no scratches in the movement, and so on and so on. So it's bloody difficult, particularly with a perpetual calendar.
Well, because Lange uses blued screws, right? So, you know, if you don't have a blued screw that's going to match the same color as the rest of the blued screws, you're fiked. So, you know, I can understand that difficulty. But here's the thing, right? I was watching JJ's show yesterday, and I think they were talking about a Glasuta Original watch, and they were talking about, the finishing is of Patek quality and this. And I was looking at it, and I was like,
that's bullshit.
I was like, I didn't want to say anything because, you know, but it's funny because a lot of folks that, you know, look at finishing may not necessarily understand it or haven't really gone and learned it. But yeah, like that was way off. And, you know, and look, does Glasuta Original make bad watches? No, they make great watches. I do like their watches, but you know, I wouldn't necessarily put it in the same category as some of the, you know, other brands that make
definitely watches. Not. You know that I love smashing Patek Philippe, but I wouldn't go that far.
Well, and I think for a lot of folks, it's you know, when they're looking at brands and Lange, when a few years ago, you and I always talk about this. A few years ago, Archie used to always dog Lange because of the depreciation, because they don't hold or perceived hold value, I guess. And now a completely opposite space that we're in, where Langes are really, you know, they've shot up. Like a Lange one's pretty expensive.
Yep.
These days. And so the question to you then is it well deserved? Do you feel that they're finally getting the respect of the community that you feel that they deserve?
I couldn't have said it better, particularly with my chopped up English. I'm glad that they get now the admiration that they deserve. And you know, when I started this YouTube shit, I was the guy who was defending Lange, and everybody was smiling and laughing at me. So it's good to see that there is some appreciation, and I would say well deserved. Those are timeless pieces, well thought out. even revolutionary at that time. Still, the data graph, for example, is just a marvel of engineering. The Lange one was so revolutionary in many aspects, so bold also to charge more than for Rolex Day-Date back then, for an unknown German company. So I think it's totally deserved, and it fills my old heart with joy. Yes.
We got a great question here from Hoff on Smash that you are well qualified to answer. Hoff on Smash asks, any other choice for a world timer than Patek?
Well, I'm biased. You know that I'm saying the Benjamin Chi Celestial Voyager is the better world timer compared to the Patek. That is a very controversial thing. By the way, I just have it here. Do you want to see it?
Yeah, why don't you pull it up? Well, so Hoff, actually, Jonathan is going to have Benjamin Chi, the artisan that helped make his world timer, on his show later today on the Swiss and John
Hopefully,
show.
hopefully when he can
hopefully,
make it.
Hopefully, if he can make it, I'd love to hear his take, because definitely it's a piece that has been in the news pretty often, and very, very nice, very, very nice design, and Jonathan's quite happy with it. This is the new strap, right? You just got?
Yes. Actually, that is a custom-made strap by Monochrome. The guys at Monochrome have been helping me now out second time with a strap that I really like. It looks a little bit weird because the sun is not shining. When the sun is on the watch, that really pops, and I really enjoy wearing it just like that.
So, and if we're strictly talking about world time watches, we're not talking about travel times. We're not talking about GMT watches, right? We're talking about world time watches. I mean, there's other brands that make them, right? Breguet makes a world timer, and other brands, Omega makes a world timer, and many brands make them. Vacheron makes a world timer, but you're hard pressed to really, when you think of a world time, you're hard pressed to think past Patek Philippe, and that is the real, because you chose a world time as your complication, right? And we've covered it obviously many times around why you did it, but there's a ton of other brands that make it. But I just, in my mind, I mean, we got JLC, the Geophysique Universal Time. We've got like a bunch of different world times that I can think of that just, they don't fit the bill. And if I were looking for a world time, I'd be hard pressed to go beyond it. So where's the case for the Benjamin Chi Anderson Genève world time for you?
So yeah, I tried to make it short. Why I think this one is the better world timer compared to the Patek Philippe. You see that outer ring here, that is aventurine. With Patek Philippe, that is just a printed metal. That dial is totally custom made. I was talking a lot about that. Also, the case here is in platinum. Try to get a platinum world timer at the moment from Patek Philippe. Then combine it with a cloisonné dial, and that's going to be tough. So, in my opinion, the cloisonné together with the platinum is very unique. The aventurine city ring outside is very unique. Then you see the beautiful blue gold rotor with a guillochage. You don't get that from Patek Philippe. And you can see here that beautiful mother of pearl movement ring around. So all in all, and this is this is not a shtick. That is my genuine opinion. I think that is better than the Patek world timer. But I know that this is a controversial point. I also know that people criticize the small crowns. Yeah, now you're getting into something interesting, because I was just about to say the only serious competitor to the Patek world timer and probably the Benjamin Chi is the Lange 1 world timer with a fantastic daylight saving times function.
Oh, so they're using the old movement on this. Eh? You can see.
Yeah.
They get the little island in the 3/4 plate.
That is only the minor negative point about this, that they're still using the old movement. You said it correctly. That little island in the middle of the movement indicates that this is the old movement. So I guess the date jump won't be that swift, just like with the new movement, and that is a little bit a downer. But still, the price is very attractive, and it has that daylight saving times function.
That's huge. That's huge. That's a big problem for me about world times. It's been, I like using my complications, and for something to not be, usable for a certain period of time of the year, it fikes me off. I don't know. We do have some comments, some troll comments here. I got to pull up here. Ron the Actuary is asking if can Higgins sense my presence. I don't know, Higgins. Can you sense Ron's presence?
I can smell it. Yes.
You can smell it. We got Darth Negus who says, "Love Lange." Ron the Actuary, I hate Nomos, but their extremely simplistic world timer design is really cool. Jin and I agree on that one. Very cool. I think we're caught up.
Can you pull up the Hodinky article about Glashütte? There was a Glashütte dress watch introduced, and they showed a picture of the city center of Glashütte, and you can see a big gray building which is Glashütte Original. On the right side is Lange and Söhne, and on the bottom of that picture it is Nomos, and you get an idea how really tiny and small Glashütte really is.
Is this a new article? I haven't.
Yeah, I think it is two days ago. And by the way, that Glashütte Original dress watch is really beautiful in my opinion, but a little bit on the large side.
Oh yes, I found it here. Oh yes, here we go.
Yeah, here you can see. Yeah, can you zoom in that picture?
Yeah, got it.
Okay, so that big gray building, that is Glashütte Original. That used to be Glashütte Uhrenbetriebe. So that has started in the 1960s, and that was basically the monopoly building for all the Glashütte brands, and they were building very bad quality watches during the communist era of Germany. And on the right of that gray building, you can see the Lange factory building, that little White House.
Beautiful.
Which is longer actually because it goes down the street. And in the front, that used to be the train station, and that is Nomos.
So Hoff is saying daylight savings time is very impressive. Never thought about that factor. Yeah, Hoff, this is the thing, right? Is if your watch is not accurate, 6 months of the year, it's kind of useless. And I brought that up with Archie, and Archie is like, who the hell even uses this for that purpose? I'm like, well, you kind of bought a world time, and it's like, if your world time doesn't even work, it's kind of pointless, don't you think?
I have a different take on that. So I've been talking with Ben about the world timers, and one purpose for a world timer is that you can see with one glance if you're when you're now calling your business partner in, let's say, Mumbai, if it's a time that you kick him out of the bed, or if it's his office time. So I would say it's irrelevant to know if it's now 2 or 3 o'clock, if that makes sense. And the second purpose is then you travel in your mind around the globe, and you're thinking about those beautiful places. So I'm thinking very often how I would like to be in New York now, and then you're just checking. By the way, what's the time in New York? Is it now midnight, or is it the night, or is it morning, afternoon? So it's not really relevant if you know precisely the time. It's more to give you an idea.
I pulled up the Nomos world timer as well that Ron was talking about, and yeah, it's pretty clean. I think it's saying it was $6,000 US, so not a bad price. And yeah, look, it's not a. Again, right? It's. Do you want to get a world time because you want I guess in the 6,000 range, I probably will be looking at GMTs. I probably won't be looking at world
But is that a world timer by our definition, or is that more a GMT master?
This one, it's
because
showing
on a world timer, yeah, but it shows a second time zone that you choose then, but you don't have a glance of all the world times at one glance. If that makes sense.
And that's exactly kind of what I was saying, right? At that price point, you're probably in the GMT territory. So yeah, it probably isn't like what you would consider a traditional. You're right.
Yeah, I wouldn't call that a world timer.
I do want to say hi to a good friend, Howdy from Texas. He's an OG. He's been around forever. Hasn't been too busy around the stream. Says he just got some time to finally catch a show. So just want to say a big hello to Howdy from Texas, a good friend of mine. We've got a question for you, Jonathan from Hoff. Thoughts on the Zeit? Okay, I know where this is gonna go. Thoughts on the Zeit work? That's truly one Lange that has me ready to sell everything to fund. So while you talk, I'll bring up the Zeit work.
Difficult question. I'm the biggest Lange fan here, but I can't really love the Zeitwerk, and the reason is I'm not a fan of that digital time display. You may call me a hypocrite because I have no problems with Max Büsser or Uhrwerk having those digital displays of the time, but that bugs me. But that is me. That is my personal taste. So I'm not the biggest fan of the Zeitwerk. Technically, is super impressive, super complicated with a windbreak, with an air brake to slow down the energy that is released when the hours and the minutes are changing. So technically, it's an impressive thing. To me, it's just a little bit too big, and I just can't get over that digital display of time.
I've tried on the Zeitwerk, and I thought it was a beautiful watch. And it's a love-hate, right? Like, I think Bondage and I are quite big fans of the Zeitwerk. I know you don't like the Zeitwerk. It's a polarizing watch. There's some people who love it. There's some people who hate it. It's like, honestly, it's like the 5212. You got people who absolutely love it. You got people who absolutely hate it, and it's just personal preference.
I remember the time when you could get a Zeitwerk for $35,000.
Oh, when I tried it on, it was sitting there in the case. They were ready to sell it, like, quite, even at a discount, because they couldn't, again, and this was like 2016, right? This was a long time ago. But yeah, like, I can see where Hoff's coming from. His taste in watches, I think, are evolving, and if I were to do that, Hoff, I don't think it's a bad choice if you were to ever really consolidate into this piece. But that's my personal opinion. I think Jonathan would say you're fucking crazy for doing it, because, like, Hoff
no. Look, people may say that I'm opinionated and intolerant. If you like it, more power to you. It's just not for me. So it doesn't matter. You may think that my Celestial Voyager is the biggest piece of garbage. Is that relevant to me? Not really. So
yeah, look,
so it doesn't matter if I like it or not.
And look, Hoff's got a pretty sporty collection, right? Between the Meteorite Pepsi, he's got his AP Music Edition. He's got a lot of pretty nice high-end sporty pieces. So this could definitely complement it. But like you said, he may have to consolidate to get the Zeitwerk. But for me, you guys know I like dress watches, so I would be doing that. Bear would say you're fucking crazy to do that. So it's kind of to each their own. But what does Hoff say here? I handled Bondage to Zeitwerk a few times and really stuck with me, especially seeing that. Yeah, exactly. Like, some people are just mesmerized by this watch. Jonathan can't get over the fact of modernization, and Jonathan lives like he's in the 1800s. And we got Meatball says Zeitwerk is out of this world design.
Tanzil, I have to go out very soon and hunt for my dinner later. So
no problem. This was impromptu. I was talking to John. We were just texting, over the phone, and I was like, "Hey, John, are you doing anything this morning? Because there's no other streams going on. Let's just hop on." We got our good friend America 5990 who says, "Glad to see the team back together." We're battling between Lange and Patek, and it's funny because when Jonathan shows up on Archie, he's talking Lange. When I show up on Swiss and John, I infiltrate with the Swiss brands and whatnot. So, but we do have an action-packed show hopefully today on the Swiss and John show. Even if Benjamin Chi can't make it, you still got hopefully Swiss and a few other folks that are going to hop on and just go through a bunch of. I'm sure you guys are going to go through news and just couple of different topics, but yeah,
one of our main topics will be Patek Philippe, believe it or not. So we're trying to cover the Tokyo exhibition by Patek Philippe. So we try to cover the novelties, but also the handcraft section, which has some astonishing pieces. And we are trying to cover that a little bit in our show.
Before I pop over to maybe one of those pieces, Ja does say a comment that's like stuck with, I think, the entire watch community. I believe this was Cars Chrono who said this, or his wife. I'm not sure.
That was his wife, actually.
His wife, yes. He can't get over the fact there's a fat man wearing a t-shirt. That is so true. It's it's so fucking true. But I don't find that I find that endearing. I don't find that actually a bad thing. I think it's actually pretty funny. When is the Swiss and John show me and Ron might want to watch? John, if you don't mind, could you drop the link to your channel in the chat just so that I know you have a wrench, so you should be able to do it, just so that people know where to find. Because Jonathan,
then I'm gonna mute myself. You have to talk.
Yeah, mute yourself. That's fine. I'm gonna switch the topic here. Yeah, Jonathan does Swiss and John show with our good friend Swiss Stefan, and they usually do it on Saturdays. Sometimes I've seen him do it on Sundays, but usually speaking, I usually ping him saying, "Hey, John, like, are you doing something today?" And he'll definitely pop it up. And while you look that up, we do have a very, very generous super chat from America 5990. $10 says, "What does the panel believe the next steps / innovations from Lange will be? Where do you see the brand in 5 years, 10 years, etc.? Will they continue iterating within the Odysseus line like we saw at Watches and Wiggles?" Jonathan, I don't know if you're back, so I could take a stab at this before you get there. But, America, for me, I think that, like, from the rumors, and again, this was rumors a few months ago, so they may have changed. I know Jonathan's talking more to the 80s than I am, but I had heard that Lange was really focusing on their complications. They may not produce as many entry-level pieces. And so I don't know if they're going to make the Odysseus line a platform like, for example, AP did with the Code 1159, which is becoming their kind of platform to build, like you saw, their super complicated piece. So I do believe that they're going to continue down the road of complications and maybe dive more into it, where that's traditionally a Patek, that's really Patek's wheelhouse, is complications. I think that that's how they're going to compete toe to toe with that kind of a brand. Jonathan, I saw you drop the link, so you're back. Yeah. I know you're probably going to, let's give America some value for money. Give us some insight into the industry, Jonathan.
Well, I think you're on the right track. Lange is on the record in COVID times. They said we're going to halve the production. I think they didn't really do that, or they're getting the numbers a little bit higher. So it used to be 5,500 pieces. Then they were talking about halving the production. I think production numbers at the moment are in between those figures. I tried to get figures from Lange just recently, and they flat out deny giving out any production numbers. But in my opinion, there is a clear way away from probably Saxonia slim watches, simple watches, to more complicated. So I think they will do a little bit more on the chronograph side. I hope that there will be new variants with perpetual calendars combined with chronographs probably. And I think the direction for Lange is to go more complicated and unfortunately more expensive.
Well, that's the thing, right? Because if you thought about it, like let's rewind maybe 6 or 7 years. Right, Lange is on the market and they're producing exceptional watches at a pretty good. I mean, you could get them at a really good price for what they were. And and America's question is kind of like, let's look forward, right? So fast forward into now, where the prices are starting to align because the demand from consumers are saying, "Hey, these are amazing watches for what you're getting," and so people are buying them up, and the prices are going up in the pieces. And now Lange is in a position where they're like, we're no longer a brand that has to prove itself, right?
Yeah.
They come with a lot of innovation to prove themselves as a serious watchmaking house. They've already done that, right? So now I think that they're going to double down on, really their skill set, and they're going to produce some, I think, exceptional pieces. Maybe some new innovation that's going to come out with amazing finishing that is really going to force, I think, the Swiss brands, the Swiss Trinity, and even the Swiss Trinity. You're probably thinking of two brands between VC and Patek. I don't think AP is really going to give a shit, but I think those two brands are going to be really a threat. Lange is going to be a threat to those brands because they're going to have to innovate. They're going to have to keep up, and I think that this brand, I think Lange, in 10 years down the road, it's going to be hefty competition. There's competition right now. And I think that, for a guy like America who buys Pateks, he's looking at the double split. I don't know if it was a double or the triple split. It might've been the double split.
Triple split. He was looking for
split. Okay. Yeah. The triple split, right? Like, that's something you're not getting at Patek Philippe. And I think that you're going to continue to see pieces like that. And I think that they're going to become a leader in the industry, in my opinion. I think that they just have the
Yes.
recipe for it. They really do. As long as as long as their overlords don't fuck it up, right? That's really the big thing.
So the second part of America's question is about the Odysseus. And I'm also not the biggest fan of the Odysseus, just for that the attachment of the metal bracelet on the watch. But for sure, they will come up with more complications. So I'm pretty sure they will introduce a perpetual calendar based on the Odysseus very soon. Just like I was sure that they're going to do a chronograph, which they did on Watches and Wonders. So I think the Odysseus is the platform. The demand is crazy for this particular watch, so I think it will be one of their pillars, just like the Lange 1 or the Datograph. So that is not leaving, but I'm pretty sure they will enhance the Odysseus line with more complications. And yeah.
For sure. I don't think they're going to abandon it. I think it's definitely got the demand. But the question I think from America's side is do you think that they're going to potentially make that, do you think that they're going to make that a platform, right? Like, with AP with the Royal Oak, right? They make everything in the Royal Oak. I don't think that the brand itself, Lange, is going to transition to a sport watch to make that their flagship and what they're going to base everything on. But I agree that they're probably going to continue down the road because even further down, America says that he'd love to see an Odysseus tourbillon, for example, in the which I do think is a reality. They could probably do that.
I'm pretty sure they're already working on that.
Mm-hmm. We've got a question from Kelsowitz who's asking. We got it. The Rancher joining us.
Hey guys.
Hey Clyde.
I thought Kelsowitz was pissed at Archie.
I'm not sure. But we're not Archie. We're
Oh, that's true.
We're not Archie, so he's totally fine with us. 5320, which is a perpetual calendar, versus the 5230. This is a good question. I think that, like, as you're looking into, what kind of a complication you're really into, right? Like, not everybody likes the world time, and if you were asking me which choice I'd pick, it's a hands down perpetual calendar. In a second, I'm going to flip to the new 5330 that came out at the Tokyo exhibition, but I think if you're talking price wise, you're probably thinking the platinum version of the 5230 world time. I'd still go perpetual calendar versus the world time, but that's me. But let me quick jump here to.
Can I give my perspective about the 5320?
Yeah,
in my opinion, Patek World Timer is nice, but the game changer is the cloisonné dial. So in my opinion, if you have the choice between a World Timer and perpetual calendar, I would say World Timer cloisonné.
Look, Jonathan, it's not nighttime in Germany, man. It's not midnight or late in the night. A 5230 is not a cloisonné dial. You're thinking of the 5231.
Okay, yeah, but so I'm bad with Patek references. The question was World Timer or perpetual calendar, correct?
Jonathan, you took a break from YouTube and you're still getting stomped on the Archie. By the way, I love pointing out when Jonathan makes a mistake. He doesn't point it out when I make a mistake. But
I was kind of halfway listening. Why does Jonathan like the comes on me dial?
I have no idea. We do have. This is the new.
I thought the dog finger joined us there for a second. So sorry.
This is the new world time that came out from Patek Philippe at the Tokyo exhibition. Obviously, you can see Tokyo on the city ring. Now with a date, a little. Patek's going to these really busy dials, Jonathan. I'm interested. This is obviously a world time's busy in and of itself, but then you add a date as well to it. And do you think the date is necessary on a world time?
It's just a technical flex because Patek Philippe is very proud that the date follows the zone, the time zone that you're choosing. I agree with you that it doesn't do good to the uncluttering of a dial. So it's quite a mess.
America says he loves the plum. I love the plum dial as well. I think the plum is amazing. The added date complication is very cool. I called my AD about this, and every single piece was pre-sold. Insane piece. Yeah, this is very limited. You know, when they do these exhibitions, but this should probably give us an indication of where, because this year when Watches and Wonders happened, I thought Patek was going to come out with a world time because they really, you know, and they did, you know, with the world time minute repeater, but they didn't update the 5230, which was what Kelsowitz was asking about earlier. And now this reference is called the 5330. So it gives us an indication of where the brand is going with their next generation world time, which is likely to have a date. And, you know, and if you look, if I kind of zoom in a bit here, you know, this date, this little hammer is very similar to the one on the 5212. Pretty cool. If you see the hands are very similar to the 5230, so they haven't really changed that. You got, I believe this is guilloche here in the center ring on it. I haven't really looked at this article too closely, but I think this is guilloche here in the center, and just a very well designed. Now, if you see here on the lugs as well, this two-step lug is really a design that, oh, I'm not zooming in here. I'll zoom in. You know, if you see these lugs, this two-step lug design is obviously it's neo vintage, but like the 5212 has this, and other watches have the same lug design. So it's interesting that Patek is using this across the board. They're not just kind of making it for a specific watch, which is pretty interesting to see. But you've got, you know, obviously, you know, the purple stitch as well, or the plum stitch to go with the dial. So, and we obviously have our good friend Russ joining us as well, saying good afternoon. Howdy from Texas, loves blackstrap plum stitch.
I'm not sure if that's black. I think that is also plum color.
Really?
What do you think?
Is it really? I don't know. It looks black to me. It's on the picture. It looks black. It looks like a gloss black alligator crocodile strap. Frank V says too complicated. Just get a Sky Dweller. Yeah, some people like the clean design of the Sky Dweller.
What I really like with Patek Philippe and you know, with the world time is always the dilemma how to design the hands, because you don't want to cover up too much of the watch, particularly when, again, cloisonné dial. When you have a cloisonné dial, you don't want to cover it up. So I think it was a wise choice with that date hand to have the how do you say, the bone of the hand transparent. I think that is a very nice touch, and it just shows that Patek was working hard on getting as little distraction as possible.
Got a generous super chat from our friend America 5990. The Gil O'Shea work, I like that. The Gil O'Shea work is all hand done on this piece as well. They put a lot of work into the finishing of this piece. It's a great representation of what the brand is capable of when they try. It is. It was my favorite novelty, I would say, from the exhibition. I'll kind of scroll through the article here.
Now, the ultimate expert on Gil O'Shea is Don Gio Lloyd.
The Don Gio Lloyd was on the show yesterday, Clyde. I don't know if you saw, but he was on the show yesterday. So here's the micro rotor.
The forehead shine was really distracting.
I didn't see the show last night. I was out, but I'll probably catch the replay.
What do you think about the Grand Seiko move, engraving the transparent case back?
Yeah, like, you know, it's interesting. Look, if you're at the show and you're buying this as someone who lives in Tokyo, yeah, I could see it and it's cool. But for me, I would have probably not gone with this. You know, is it a deal breaker for me? Absolutely not. But you know, not really my favorite piece of it. But you know, like America said, like the finishing is.
Do you think the screw heads are black polished on that?
I believe it is, for sure. I believe they'll definitely be black polished on this one. So 300 pieces limited, only available at Patek retailers and boutiques in Japan. Prices 70,000 Swiss francs, obviously excluding taxes. 5330G and kind of what Russ, I'll pull up Russ's comment because this was the real interesting piece for me was Patek didn't come out with a 5330 at Watches and Wonders. So this is our indication of where the world time is going to go. And world time of the date, for example. So I'm very excited to see kind of what they're going to do next year or even later this year if they release a serialized version of the 5330, what it would look like. And it's just interesting because the design cue of the hands is the same as the 5230. But if you saw in the previous generations, the 5110 that Archie had, the 5130 that has the kind of what we like to refer to as the cock ring
Observatory hands.
Yeah, well, I call it the cock ring hand. Jonathan's a lot more PC than I am. And then you have this one, which is a similar hand design to the 5230. Interesting that they kept that, but I think they really nailed it on the head with this hand design. I really like it.
Yeah, that is much better than the other one.
Yeah, America's saying the same thing I said. If you find a flaw in this piece, it's the etched sapphire. But hey, America, you know what? I like, look, if you really are dying for that plumb dial, yeah, like you're gonna have to live with it. I don't think they're gonna make a plumb dial for anything that's serially produced world time. But
don't you? People are speculating if that's a new trend and if that's the new trend color.
Well, it makes you wonder if replica producers are now going to sue Patek Philippe for violating their intellectual property.
In what sense?
Etching Patek Philippe on the back.
I don't think so. I don't think that's really going to be. I don't think that would really be a problem. But you never know. I don't think like replica. I mean, how many replica makers are making a replica of a exhibition piece that's for the Japanese, specifically for the Tokyo market? There was another piece, and I'll let Jonathan kind of go through on this. And John,
I know. Maybe the ones that are kind of close-ish by Tokyo, possibly. Just thinking out loud here.
Ron says, "Is that guilloche on the crystal?" I don't think so. I don't think it's guilloche. But this is the one novelty I did want to talk about. I know Jonathan's going to cover a. Russell actually brings up a good point. The original 60. I'll pull that up. 6007A. For those that don't know, that was a special edition for the opening of the factory. For the new factory.
Yeah, that was where they came up with that stupid idea, and they repeated it now with the Tokyo edition.
Yeah, it's. Let me pull up this article here, and you can see here where it's commemorating the new. I'll put the comment off, and maybe I'll zoom in a bit. It's really commemorating the opening of the new factory for Patek Philippe.
You know what was the irony? Because that watch was introduced in 2020, and it had 2019 in that etching, which made it even more ridiculous.
Yeah, that's. I didn't actually know that. That's actually very an interesting little quirk. But for those that don't know, Patek has actually created this piece as a standard production piece in the 6007G, which is the one you can get in many different variations. You have the yellow accents, you have the red accents, and you have the light blue accents. I was fortunate enough to try on one of these in my visit to the UK. Cool piece. The AD did describe that this is probably going to be as readily available as you could probably get from a Patek Philippe. So if you are interested in a 6007, not the A, which signifies this is stainless steel, but the G, which is white gold, contact your AD. I'm sure you'd probably be able to get one pretty soon. So for you, Kelsowitz, if you're looking for a Patek Philippe at retail, 6007 is the one to go. But he says this is so grand, Seiko, yucky.
Yeah, but he was talking about a signature piece or a hype piece or important piece, and I think Archie gave him a good advice. Because he was asking about the Saxonia thin with the Aventurine dial, and as much as I really love that watch, but this is not a showpiece. This is not something. This shouldn't be the highlight of your collection. So there are more significance.
So Russ is saying the 6007G has a newer hacking movement, so I believe that's the 26330, which is the same as in the 5212. Old one was a 324, which is the predecessor to the 26330 movement. Yeah, look, the hacking functions. I mean, it's not. You can't say it's funny? Amazing. Yeah, go ahead.
You know what's funny when Patek Philippe is introducing a hacking second as an improvement.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I was like, it's not really an innovation. It's obviously it's in this day and age is probably a must-have. But I mean, some of these watches have some pretty shit power reserve, right? I think the 5212 is 35 to 45 hours or something. It's not great for a calendar watch, especially one where you have to set a few functions, whether it's if you want to set the week or you want to set the day. It's kind of a, I would have probably wanted a bit more power reserve in that piece, but hey, I'm not going to complain about that too much. But We do have some more news, Jonathan. I don't know if you knew. Clivers had linked in one of our WhatsApp groups. I believe it was it Watchfinder that did an expose on the Lyrique Etude number 1.
Yes.
And for those that haven't seen the video, Clyde, kind of give us a bit of a Cliff's Notes of the video. What was said, or maybe give us kind of a taste of what folks can see if they want to go check out that video.
Well, actually, he showed his face, which he's starting to do, but a lot of people didn't notice it really until the video. The presenters wasn't the typical talking heads, and just talking about the fact that basically talking about how it was. A lot of people think it's disruptive to the Swiss watch industry.
Yeah, so I think that the clickbait of it was this watch makes the Swiss upset, and why is that? Is it because it was it's very affordable given there's a bit of gouging that goes on in the industry when it comes to these pieces?
A bit of gouging.
Well, I mean, Jonathan is trying to calculate how much time it's taking to black polish all the screws in my 5212. So there's a bit of work that goes into that, right? Well, a bit of gouging. So, but is that the thing, Clyde? Like, it's because the Lyrique, the group that you got, your group that made the Lyrique, you guys came in at a really competitive price point. Like, what's really pissing off the Swiss watch industry with the release of this kind of a watch?
Well, it's just the fact that, frankly, that individuals can basically take or hire the independence away from established brands and have them work for them directly and avoid the markup of the established brands.
Now, do you see that as a trend that more people are going to gravitate towards? So, and I'll give you an example, and it's not really in watches, but yesterday when I was at one of my car meets, there's a father and son that brought a car called an Ultima RS, which is essentially a kit car, but they built it themselves and they got the parts sourced and everything from, I guess, Ultima. And for them, that was their way of spending their money rather than buying, a sports car or what have you. Just like for you guys in the Lyrique, right? You guys chose to create something, maybe not the exact same because the Ultima is kind of a, it's kind of an out of box type of situation. You guys created it completely from scratch. Clyde, do you think more collectors are going to consider this, or do you think this is kind of a very, very niche, nerdy group that would be the ones that are doing this? Do you see this becoming more mainstream in the subscription model? Clyde's on mute, and Jonathan is showing us. I don't know what the heck this is.
Oh, sorry. I think it has the possibility of becoming mainstream. Certainly has the possibility, and I think the Swiss would not like, especially established Swiss brands, would not like that at all. Yeah, and you guys went through a ton of issues because of supply chain during COVID. Yeah. Are you seeing? And I don't know if you're part of Etude number 2. No, I'm not. I decided to set the second one out, and actually, a much higher proportion of people in Lyrique number 2, Etude number 2, are Swiss.
I see.
And I don't like, which means I don't like them as much, frankly. But it's also the supply issues by and large have been, even though we're doing extra things with it that we're not doing in the first one. Basically a guilloche dial and a few more colors. But in spite of all that, it's going to be the time frame it's released. It should be released by the end of the year.
Oh, cool.
And they're already talking about Lyrique number 3 in this extra special project for Etude number 4. Etude number 3 is going to be a Zulu hours, basically a GMT.
GMT, cool. We got Hoff on Smash who says, I absolutely love the 6007G with red accents. So I have it up on the screen. Totally reminds me of everything I love about my car. Yeah, there's many people who like, a black car, with either red interior or red accents on their interior. So I can definitely see this one being quite popular. I tried on the yellow. They had that as a display model at the AD in Bath in the UK. Pretty good size, Hoff. It's 40 millimeters, so it fits really well. The strap was obviously a little stiff because it was brand new. But I think it's gonna. That was the part that I didn't really like, is just how stiff it was. But obviously that'll break in. Overall, really cool piece. Go ahead.
I love the dial on this one, but it's so atypical, I think, for Patek. It makes me actually reminiscent of a Mont Blanc watch. And
well, that's the thing, right? Like they're kind of in a battle between what people perceive the brand to produce and what the modern or contemporary collector is looking for, right? So for collectors like us that know these other brands and are saying, wow, this kind of looks like a Hamilton or an Oris or something like that from 3 years ago, right? A new collector, a new buyer that walks into the AD and wants to get their Nautilus or Aquanaut and has to kind of start here, when they kind of look at the lineup of Calatravas, they're not, I can't see them, a demographic of, early 30s to mid 50s are probably going to gravitate to something a bit more usable, a bit more sporty. And I think this does fit the bill for the brand. And that's why they're doing it. Like they're not shy in telling you that they're making, pieces and materials for straps that are more usable with casual wear, more daily usable. The 5212, for example, Thierry Stern said this is a work watch. This is something you can wear every day. And that's why he likes it. Whereas, for my example, I have a 5196 Calatrava, and it's not something I wear every day. It's not something I could or want to wear every day. So something like this, definitely, Hoff, you could, you could go to work, go to the studio or what have you. And, just, you could wear this with, jeans, t-shirt, polo, even, hoodie or whatever. And it wouldn't look out of place. Because
he can do that with his AP as well.
He can, yeah, but like it's the AP is a sport watch, right? That's the purpose of the music, like the Royal Oak Offshore is it's a sports watch. This is traditionally, the Calatrava is traditionally a dress watch, and we're moving into this mode of dress watches where you can wear a watch on a leather strap but not have to be tied to, well, I got to wear a suit with it. And that's what people always say. You still hear this, kind of fucked up. You still hear this in the industry or in the community, is like, I don't buy dress watches because I don't wear suits. It's like, well, no, like most dress watches these days they're totally versatile. You don't need to wear a suit. And I always challenge them. I say, when people say the dress watch is dead, I always challenge them and say, well, explain to me why, certain brands that, younger generations were into have really taken off, and they've used the dress watch as, as really their springboard. And there's been a lot of brands that have been pretty entry level, very cheap, that the youth are buying, and they're dress watches. They're not sport watches. They don't look like fucking Submariners. They look like Calatravas. They look like Nomoses. They look like very, very Bauhaus inspired pieces. And, none of those, the demographic of that age, wear suits. So I think it's just I think it's an old mentality. I don't think it really is relevant to today. So Hoff says this is a Patek Audi Sport collab. I agree. And Kelsowitz says, would the 5212 have the same wearability in white gold? Is it the material? So the material is very light. Kelsowitz, it's definitely more durable. I'll tell you, I've had multiple Pateks with gold, and for example, the 5196 is very soft. You bang that across something, you're gonna have a ding in that piece. You got to be very, very careful with it. And so
I think Keslowitz is bringing up a good point, and you and we've been talking about that. I think the wearability is not what really stands out. There is something in your mind when you have a steel watch. You're easier in your mind wearing that on more normal occasions than having a white gold, which is a little bit more delicate. So I think your mind is set differently when you're wearing a steel watch versus a white gold watch.
Or platinum.
Yeah, absolutely. And I never really worry too much about this piece when I wear it. And I wear it a couple times a week to work, and it's a really good watch for that purpose. And and I know the kind of industry Kelsowitz is in, you could probably wear this on set as you're doing your camera work and not be. I know that originally you were thinking of a Calatrava 5196. I would say that if you're looking for that style of watch, this could probably work for you in the kind of work you're doing. 6007 would have been a huge hit in steel. They did do it in steel. That's the one that Russ pointed out. That's the 6007A. It is a limited edition, I think to 1,000 pieces, I believe. But they did do it in steel.
I don't know. What do you think? What do you think is the bigger tragedy, that Kelsowitz hasn't really picked a flex pace yet, or that he was so distracted when he was handing prop pistols to Alec Baldwin?
No, Kelsowitz wouldn't do that. But Kelsowitz is, like he's taking his time, right? He wants to buy. It's it's a significant purchase, I think, to anybody, and he's really selecting the piece that he wants, and he's trying it out. And look, there's nothing wrong with that, and I think that many of us buy pieces sight unseen, right? Like I never saw this watch in person when I bought it. I just knew that after doing my research that this is what I wanted, right? Like, but Kelsowitz is going into the ADs, he's trying on the pieces, and he's looking at and he's researching on what's a good value and what's really his best choice for what he's looking for. And he's looking all over the map, right? Like Jonathan, he's looking at like Laurent Ferrier, he's looking at Patek Philippe, he's looking all over the map. Like, so Jonathan, let's play a game. So let's give it, without doxing a lot of stuff. Kelsowitz works in Hollywood. He's a cameraman. If you were to buy a high-end watch and you were in that kind of a profession, what would you be looking at, specifically for yourself? But you want something like really nice. You don't want like a Rolex. You want something that's like statement piece.
Well, he's on a good track when he's considering Laurent Ferrier. And I just wanted to add to the discussion yesterday. Don Haynes said, yeah, the natural escapement is kind of delicate. Well, a Laurent Ferrier watch is a kind of a delicate watch. The nature of being in precious metal and so on gives you a hint. So I think that argument is really moot. Of course, you shouldn't bang that watch around, but it's not because of the movement. It's also because of the case. So I don't see anything negative with the Laurent Ferrier and the natural escapement. So in my opinion, he's on a good path with Laurent Ferrier. I know that he's a little bit hesitant because they're still using on the secondary market versus a Grönefeld that is selling over retail. But that is basically happening in his head. Let me repeat the story that we had with Lange and Söhne. When I started with YouTube 3 years ago, everybody said Lange is toxic shit because when you leave your AD, back then they had ADs, you're losing 30-35% of the value. So Lange is shit. Now everybody is raving about Lange because they retain their value better, but the watches basically haven't changed. So I don't buy that argument that when you look at the secondary market and the value versus retail, if that is any significant for your decision, it doesn't make the watch better or worse.
Would you? So I pulled up. I think this is one he's looking at. It's obviously a square piece micro rotor.
Obviously, we don't want to see what genre Kelsowitz films in, but the watch, you just have to be able to wipe bodily fluids off the watch. We'll just leave it at that.
That's true though, right? Because he is obviously working with his camera and he's in an environment where he's moving around, right? So he's also going to be worried about, is the watch going to ding? Is it going to hit something? Am I going to be like, am I going to be worried about that? I think he wants a bit of peace of mind, right?
Yeah, especially if he has to get too close to the money shot.
So Clyde, what would you think, right? So I'm going to flip the question to you, right? So you're in that mode. You don't want a Rolex. You want something a bit more of a statement piece, but you work in that kind of environment. What would you be considering?
Okay. I will give just general advice. Kelsowitz, look high and low. Look at everything. Consume every bit of content that you can. A. B. Find something that reaches out of the page or off the screen and speaks to you. That's something that pulls at your heartstrings or your strings for your swimsuit or whatever. Find out everything you can about it. Find out everything you can about the best way to buy it, and get what you want for the reasons that are important to you. Don't hang everybody else, because no one else is going to be wearing that watch. It's going to be you wearing that watch.
I'm gonna pull up the one that got away from Clyde, the 5960A. Clyde, I think this is the one that you were considering at one point many years ago. It was the white dial, it wasn't the black dial version, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was on steel bracelet, obviously. Yep. You know, Kelsowitz, I don't know if you like this piece or not. This is the annual calendar chronograph. Very, very cool piece, steel, so usable on set. And, you know, just honestly, it's, you know, steel paddock. You can't go wrong. I like this complication. I like the design of this piece. And yeah, like this would be.
But he wants high-end finishing.
Fuck off. I mean, what are you gonna offer him, right? You're gonna. I mean, we can go down the list, right? You can go from Moser Streamliner. You can go Odysseus. You can go a bunch of these sport watches that we can pick for him that that may fit the bill, right? It's just, I think of all of them, for me, this design is my favorite and something I would be considering if I were in that boat. And when Clyde was trying to buy this watch, was looking at this watch, I told him, fucking jump on it. I told him, do not sleep, get the watch. I thought it was a black dial, so I thought it was even more of a. If it was a black dial, it was a home run for him. But white dial's no slouch, and I would probably be going for something like this personally. But yeah, the 5212 is fine too. Kelsowitz just changed the strap because obviously, if you're going to sweat in it, you don't want it to be on a leather strap. You may want to change that out. But I'll pull up his comment here. He says, the three Pateks that really pull my heartstrings are the 5212, the 5230 Platinum, which is the World Timer, and I'm going to pull up the 5320 for you guys because that is one of my favorite watches with the cream dial. That is a perpetual calendar.
I don't think so. I don't think so, Kelsowitz. I challenge that because if something pulled at your heartstrings, I don't think you'd be bothering to discuss it with somebody else unless you are totally unsure. Unless you're totally out of place with your feelings.
You know what? There's just some people that are like that, right? They're very like they want to cross their T's and dot their I's when it comes to a purchase, and there's nothing wrong with that. This is the 5320 that I've been talking about earlier. This is a perpetual calendar. This is with the cream dial. I believe Humble Pine has this piece, if I'm not mistaken. And really, really, you know, for me, and I'll tell you why, right? I have a real affinity for the watch that this was based off of, and that's the 1591 reference. It was a piece unique, made for a well, they're calling it an Indian Maharaja. I don't know if that's actually true or not. But this is
beautiful.
Yeah, this was the original piece that the 5320 was based off of. Piece unique, sold for millions of dollars. And for those that don't know, ABC's family is actually tied to this watch. A great story about the 1591 and ABC's extended family that somehow was attached to this piece or acquired it or something. Really, really cool. He told the story on Archie a few months ago. If ABC's around, I'd love to hear it again. But this is the 5320 that it's based off of, and one of my favorite pieces. Russ is saying the 5960 is a lovely piece, but very shiny. I like the 5085 I once owned. Ultimately couldn't live without the shine. So I'll put up 5085.
With the shine, not without.
Without the shine. So he's talking about a Neptune. This one is it's funny. Archie really likes this watch, and it's the same complication as in the 5712 Nautilus. So I'll pull up the Neptune here. Now, obviously, Russ, I think, I mean, Kelsowitz is a bit of a younger guy too, and I think he's going to want to wear something that I think and again, like, it's not like Kelsowitz said he was going to buy a 5960, you know, and for me, I like this piece as well, Russ. I think, I wouldn't say, I guess he used the wrong word, young. I think Kelsowitz is more of a contemporary buyer, and I think he wants something that's more modern than the Neptune. But I like the Neptune. Nothing wrong with the Neptune. Yeah. Really cool piece. And then Russ says, jump on the World Time Perpetual. It's an absolute stunner. Yeah, can't go wrong with that as well. But yeah, no, great comments, great chat, great talk in the chat. Like, you know, hopefully
the problem with the Neptune on the bracelet, you'd spend so much, you know, if the wrong thing happened, God forbid, he'd spend so much time getting all the cum out of the bracelet.
Clivers, man, I don't know if you're nutting on over your watches or something like that, man. Damn, like, where the hell are you? What the hell are you doing, man? Like,
oh, I'm not a cat.
If you got to think of that,
we needed Clive to put a light on that aspect. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, like look,
if he put a light on that aspect of his job, it'd actually be more of a gynecological exam rather than
UV light. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think Kelsowitz is trying to go downstream. I think he's trying to go upstream with it when it comes to his watch purchases. So he's thinking for anything that's not Rolex. He's thinking, he's looking at Laurent Ferrier, Patek Philippe. I think he's looked at VC. He's looked at Lang. He's looked at all of them. Right?
No, the job involves a lot of going down, but not with Kelsowitz particularly. Specifically.
I think the Gronefeld. He's been looking at the Gronefeld as well.
Okay, guys, I have to leave. I have to run. I'm gonna have to. Jesus Christ! All right. Sorry. The life of a small town lawyer is never.
No worries, Clyde. Thanks for hopping on. We appreciate it.
Thanks. Is that what Kelsowitz says a lot of times after filming?
Yeah, he probably does. But yeah, have a good day, Clyde. And if you pop on a little later, we should still be on for a bit. And John's going to be doing his own show a little later, so feel free to check us all out during those events as well.
Which also sounds like Kelsowitz would say. No, right, all right. Bye.
Say a bit. We're going to say bye to Russ as well. It says he's got to run. Great seeing you, Russ, as well.
Bye, Russ. Have a great evening with great food.
We were talking about 996s, Russ, earlier. This is kind of what sparked the live stream. Was I was talking to Jonathan about considering buying a 996 911, just a more just a fun car to just have as a side piece. But yeah, so I pulled up the 1941 Principia Gronefeld. So I know that this is one that Kelsowitz is also looking at. Very, very cool watch. Salmon dial. So Jonathan, there's been you haven't been around YouTube the past little bit, I think, for a couple of days, but there's been this whole piece of rhetoric going around that salmon dials are effeminate. They're not manly. They're a little girly, is what I'm hearing. I'm hearing a lot of different terms being used for people wearing salmon dials. Now, salmon's very popular today. What is your take on salmon dials?
You don't want me to comment on that.
Okay, I will comment. I love salmon dials. I don't find them effeminate at all. I think that they're really cool. And whether it's on this piece or an FP Journe or a Patek or many other pieces that make salmon dials. I think
do you know which watch started that salmon dial hype, or the rebirth of those salmon dials? I'm
going to go with the Patek Philippe 3970 in salmon, which is an absolutely gorgeous piece.
As far as I remember, it was Vacheron 47101 in platinum with salmon dial. That must be 35 years ago.
I'm not sure, but I'm going to pull up a Patek Philippe 3970, which came up at the start of the show. And I'm going to scroll down to a salmon, if they have a salmon on this one. Is that salmon? I don't know. There should be a salmon on this because it's a very, very... It's in the platinum. Oh, here we go. Salmon. Eric Clapton's 3970. How is this effeminate if Eric Clapton's wearing a freaking 3970 in a salmon dial? And this was obviously many years ago. But yeah, fuck. This is just stunning. Like, I don't know. I don't know why anybody would talk trash about salmon dials. I think they're great. And again, right, like it's not a common color, right? All of us have black dials, we have white dials, blue dials. Some of us have green dials on our pieces, but I would say in most collections, you don't find a salmon dial. It's just not as common. And
it goes very well with platinum and with white gold, yes.
Ravon Chefs, £2 says, whose idea to do this show? Cheers, guys. Actually, this was Jonathan's idea. Him and I were just texting, as we do usually every day, and I kind of messaged him, hey, are you doing anything? And are you doing a Swiss and John? He's like, yep, I'm doing a show later on. And I said, yeah, I was kind of bored. And then, he's like, well, if you're going to stream, send a link. And, I have some time. So I'll give John the credit for doing the show. We appreciate Mr. Higgins joining us and talking wristwatches. Honestly, we're a little over an hour. Mr. Higgins, is there anything else you wanted to cover? Any news that you're not going to cover on Swiss and John that you were...
Actually, I would love you to pull that Vacheron 47101 up, maybe on Chrono 24. I have no idea how the prices are, but in my opinion, that is a very nice piece for a very good price. if you still can get them.
You know what? I have an auction here from Christie's. I don't know how old this is. Okay, so this is from about a year ago. So the estimate was 30 to 50,000.
That's it.
And it sold for about 69,000 US.
Wow. Okay.
Beautiful watch.
Because
though.
I remember the time when you could get those for 25,000 US.
Yeah, this is a beautiful
And it's not
watch.
a very long time ago.
Hop on Smash says a salmon is better than turquoise. I would agree. But come on, like that versus this, Jonathan, like 39.70.
Well, yeah.
salmon
Well, this is a
dial,
perpetual
on.
calendar. Come on. This is a super rare piece, if I know that correctly.
So you said you were selling the 3940. So the 3970, the perpetual calendar chronograph, was around at the same era. Give us an indication of how many perpetual calendars or 3940s you sold in a year versus perpetual chronographs that you sold in a year.
If I remember correctly, I've only been selling one perpetual calendar chronograph during my time. You have to imagine I was a junior sales guy, so I didn't know all those big honcho Patek Philippe collectors, and usually the deals with those high-end collectors have been done in a separate room, and where I didn't even have access, and the owner of the shop or the shop manager would deal with those. So I didn't sell a lot of perpetual calendar chronographs. I remember now and then I sold a perpetual calendar, Patek Philippe 3940, but that's it. But it was a highlight for me when I sold one of those.
So when you had the client that came in looking for this, were they specifically seeking this watch out, or was this hey, I'm looking for something, and you had to guide them to this? Like, how did and I know that's like many years ago, and I know your memory may not be great on that, but of what you remember, like, how did that kind of go?
Usually when you have those people, there is not the alternative AP perpetual calendar or Patek Philippe perpetual calendar. So those guys are Patek fans, they own a Calatrava, and the question is probably sell them another Calatrava or an annual calendar or perpetual calendar. So that is how you go. Usually you don't, even if you're working in a multi-brand store, you're not pulling up the AP perpetual calendar here and the Patek Philippe perpetual calendar here, and you tell them now you choose. So usually those are really keen to the brand. Differently back then, it was with AP, because the perpetual calendar was relatively attractive in price. So you could move them from others. So I remember I had discussions, the Blancpain perpetual calendar or the AP perpetual calendar, for example, and it was then a close match between those two. But perpetual calendar Patek Philippe is a unique thing, and people don't look aside usually.
That's a good point, because when I was selling the 15500, I reached out to a broker of mine that I know he's connected with a lot of in Canada at least, the major Patek collectors. And we're talking about industry executives, like real high-end guys. And, I kind of said, hey, like I'm looking for a 5212. I'm sure one of those guys has one. They got vast collections. Maybe they don't want one. I'd be willing to trade off a hot piece to entice somebody to maybe come to the table. And he responded to me. He says, look, I love the watch. Nothing wrong with it. I'm sure, you can flick that in a second. He's like, these collectors or Patek collectors, he's like, they just want Patek. They don't want APs. It's not their thing. They just, they don't want to switch, for an AP. The Lange, no problem, right? But an AP, no. So it was really it was interesting to see that, right? Because I never thought of it that way. I collect all different brands, and everyone knows I like Patek Philippe specifically, but I do collect everything else. But he was like, nope, these guys, like you described, are looking for something that's within the brand that they're specifically seeking. So yeah, even 2 decades later, Jonathan, it's still very relevant to today. We got Dirty Danny says, what is going on here? Archie having 3 shows in one day. Yes, Dirty Danny, we are doing the marathon. I don't know if Jonathan, if you remember around Christmas, we did the marathon where like Professor was online for like 10 hours. and I was quite shocked to see him sit down for 10 hours doing live streams. But yeah, no.
Really, the professor did 10-hour live streams?
Yeah, he was. If he's listening, Professor, I'd love to hear. His family was like asking him if he's getting paid for it, and he said absolutely not. So they thought he was fucking nuts, being online talking about what. It was cool though, right? Christmas. It was either Christmas or New Year's. We did like a marathon stream where we just did a whole bunch of watch talk and everything else. I'll
I'll be back in 2 minutes.
Yeah, no problem. I'll drop the link for anybody who wants to join as well. If anybody wants to say hello. Yeah, we're talking all kinds of watches, guys. Really, whatever you guys want to talk about in the chat. We're just looking at different pieces. Now, I will pull up the 5226 Patek when Jonathan's not here, so I could swing this through with some more Swiss watch talk without him interrupting me with German watch talk. So this piece, interestingly enough, is one of the most highly sought after pieces outside of obviously the Nautilus and the Aquanaut. I asked the AD in the UK, and I said, let's put aside those two pieces, the two lineups, the Aquanaut and the Nautilus. What watch is the most asked for and the highest wait list you guys have? And it was this one. Followed slightly behind with the 5212, but this one. So I found that interesting because this bitumen dial that people talk about, or textured dial, it's not really for everybody. People kind of look at this and they're like, oh, it reminds me of a Hamilton or this and that. But, for the modern buyer, like this is what, people are seeking in the Calatrava lineup is something, and this watch is beautiful, right? You got Clou de Paris on the side. You've got automatic movement. You've got syringe hands, bitumen dial, really, really well executed piece. I didn't get a chance to actually try this on. I don't know if Higgins has ever seen one of these in person, but
no, not in real life. No.
Yeah, America says the 5226 and also the 5396, that's the annual calendar, are great pieces. And I think he means the 5326, if my memory serves me correctly. I'll pull that up. It's in the complications lineup. We got our boy Jax joining. What's going on, Jax? How you doing?
Is Archie dead or something? What the hell's going on?
Nah, he's sleeping, man. It's nighttime in Australia.
I woke up and saw the stream. I thought, Jesus Christ, somebody died.
No. Me and Jonathan we were just hanging out. So we were like, let's just do some. We do this once in a while. We do like watch talk during the days when we're free and stuff like that. But yeah, you're welcome to chill. Kind of give us your take. But let me pull up the watch that it should be in the complications section. 5.
Yeah, I just woke up, buddy.
Oh, it's all good, man. It's all good.
Hey, Jack. Never spoke to you. Hope that you're doing well.
Is that Higgins down there at the bottom?
Yes, sir.
I can't see because of the super chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Higgins.
Tanzil is doing his best to hide me.
No.
Oh, my bad. No, I'm pulling up this watch for America. I don't know why I can't find this. It was in the complications, but it's not showing. I don't know. Either I'm just blind or whatever. But this is the 5326. So this is the same dial, the bitumen dial, micro rotor moves. So this is different. Doesn't have the automatic movement. Doesn't have the big rotor. But similar style, obviously, like for me, America, this would be the one to get if you can get it. Obviously, very highly sought after as well. Go ahead, John.
Can you pull up G Godwar's comment, please?
Can Higgins help me get one of these at retail?
Nice.
I wish, man. If Higgins could fucking get me one of these at retail, I would.
I'm done with favors for YouTubers. I'll tell you that.
I would buy him an entire Black Forest cake. So Dirty Danny says, is it going to be around 3 months when you bring that Calatrava over for me, Tanmade? Danny, whenever you're free, I will bring the 5196 over to you. We'll go for some nice a nice curry. We'll have a good time and we'll talk. Danny really likes the 5196, by the way, guys. He's a huge fan of a simple dress watch, and I can appreciate his love.
He's a fan of undersized movements.
Well, that's also look. So here, Jax, here's the thing, right? Higgins likes to take digs at a certain watch. So I'll show you. I'll show you the watch we're talking about, Jax, and you can kind of see, and then I'll go into like Higgins's comments here around the watch. So
I hope that you show the picture where the case back is opened.
Yeah, of course. I'm going to show that in a second. I'm just going to give Jax kind of an idea of what the watch looks like without that. So this is the watch. Simple watch, nothing crazy. But this is this is kind of the iconic, Calatrava, you'd say, from this brand. And so Jonathan's taking a dig in the sense that the brand didn't, when they made this watch, they didn't update the movement. They used an older movement. And it doesn't necessarily fit the watch. And I'll show you what Jonathan means, because he likes to bring this up every time we bring up this watch. Jonathan likes to take a dig at us on it. So, if my internet wasn't slow, Jonathan, I think you traded internet with me today. Like, I don't know what the hell's going on here.
I don't know how much you know about me, dude, but there's only one watch as far as I'm concerned.
Talk to me, Jax. What's the one watch?
The Explorer 1. That's it. Period.
Hey, we got a Hoff on Smash here.
What's up, man?
What's up,
The
guys?
Explorer 1, dude. That's the only one.
What's going on, Hoff?
Good. Joining the fun. Some great watch talk going on this morning.
Yeah, man. We were. I'm struggling here, Jonathan. So I'm just going to pull up this in Google Images. But this is what he's talking about, Jax. He's talking about the fact that the watch the movement's so small that they have to put this ring around it to just make it fit the case. It's
right.
Yeah.
But at least
basically you need a watchmaker's loop to find the movement.
Fuck, we got legends here, man. We got Jax, we got Hoff, we got CB in the chat as well, saying hello. Hello, thanks for the paddock talk.
At least they engine turned the ring around the movement. You know what I mean?
Yeah, look, I'll agree with Jax there, Jonathan. Jax is saying at least paddock put some perlage around. Like, at least they finished it, right? At least they did some finishing around it, right? So Jax has got it right.
Yeah, I call it engine turning, but like it looks like the dashboard of a '77 Trans Am. Do you remember that? How it had in,
Oh yeah.
Bandit. That's what that looks like.
Yeah, I believe.
I would say it would look even more horrible without the perlage. So I'll give you that.
Thank you.
Sardi Danny says that is kacha badam. So kacha badams means raw almonds in my language. So
it reminds me of the face of a Rolex Deep Sea Challenge with that giant rig around it.
Yeah,
oh my God, so true. I want to pull that up here. Rolex Deep Sea Challenge. Just pull this up for our boy Hoff. Let's go to the Rolex website. I won't be like Archie going to fucking like Google Images all the time, but
oh man.
It's a Deep Sea Challenge for you guys, and the ring, original gas escape valve ring lock system.
It does look like that.
Is anybody on the panel have any interest in buying this watch, the Deep Sea Challenge? Like, would anybody ever buy it?
No. Yes, me. If I had the money, I would immediately buy that.
Now, Jonathan, you're known to have a very small wrist, like a 5-inch wrist, right? So, like, how would a small-wristed man wear this guy?
No. To be honest, I wouldn't wear this. In my opinion, this is just a nice novelty. This is a piece of engineering flex, and I totally love that Rolex is doing that. This is not a watch to wear. This is to put on your desk and just marvel about the engineering. And I promise you one thing. When Rolex discontinue that watch in 1 or 2 years, everybody's going apeshit after that. And everybody's asking themselves, why didn't we go for it when it was available?
We got
Think of that watch sitting in one of the MBF Robo toys on your desk. It would look beautiful.
Yeah,
that's wild.
Also, if you are trying to create complete the ultimate Rolex dive collection, you have a Submariner, you have a Sea Dweller, Deep Sea, like this just takes it over the top.
We got the excellent trolls in the chat. We got the Deep Sleep Challenge from our friend Discount. And John Galt has a question for you, Jonathan. Is your wrist smaller than the 5196 movement?
I just wanted to correct the record. I really like the 5196. I'm a big fan of the case shape, but of course I can't get over that small movement. And I have to mention it because otherwise it would get too boring.
By the way, who should totally get this watch? Shaq. I seen something where he did a collab with like Invicta, and he was talking about how they're the only brand that make watches that fit his wrist. I wonder if no one's pointed him in the direction of this.
How
Dude,
big is that thing? How big is it?
50,
This one?
50 millimeters.
Yeah, 50
Oh,
mil.
oh, it's 50. Oh, okay.
Yeah, bro, it's big. Hoff, I saw Shaq play at in Vegas at the Encore. It was a night pool party, and his music is terrible. Like, he's really bad, you know. But everybody was like loving it because it's Shaq, right? And
Yeah.
I was like, the music.
He's actually a really cool guy. I've seen him out in clubs a bunch of times, and like hung with him at one of my friends like at tables. And I've got to tell you, super funny, very cool, like just a regular guy. I thoroughly enjoyed the time hanging with him. And looking this up, he actually has a 10-inch wrist.
Jesus. We got CB asking.
Go ahead.
Yeah, CB's asking deep sea or Omega Ultra Deep. So I'll pull up the Omega Ultra Deep here because just to give Jack some context as well. And this is a 6,000 meter, 20,000 feet piece. Pull up probably my favorite iteration of this if I can find it.
My brother had his
Not sure
album
if
when we were younger. Shaq, when he dropped his album, he bought
The rap album?
Yeah, that song,
Yeah.
What's Up, Doc, Can We Rock, or whatever the hell it was.
Yep,
yeah,
with the Fushnikins.
Yeah, he had
Yep.
that.
Love that one.
That's hilarious.
Shaq was actually a great rapper because he had the best rappers of the time writing for him. Like Notorious B.I.G. and like other artists were writing from Prodigy, from Mobb Deep. They were all writing his raps at the time.
Right. He just had a terrible time rapping them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we saw the other one, Jax, just now, the Rolex Deep Sea Challenge, and this is the competitor. This is the Omega Ultra Deep, which came out before the Deep Sea Challenge. Which one, Jax, do you think like would you rock right on the wrist? You're going out. Which one would you take? The Rolex? Would you take the Omega? What do you think?
I wouldn't use the one that's on screen to bust the window out of my car if I needed to get my keys. That's the worst goddamn looking thing I've ever seen. So I'd wear the other one 100%. Yeah, that's terrible.
Jack's not a fan.
So
Higgins, what about you?
I've been trying this particular watch on just a week ago, and it goes on the wrist quite well. What I can't get over is the NATO strap, because you have 2 layers of a thick NATO strap underneath the watch, and that makes it stick up to a ridiculous degree or amount. So I really want to love this watch. But the NATO with that double layering underneath is really a deal breaker for me.
So I'm kind of on the same level as CB. I actually like the look of the Ultra Deep a little bit better. I've never tried on either watch, but CB says he has the Ultra Deep and he says it's very wearable. So
yeah.
I tried on the full Ultra Deep line. I went to New York City Watch Crew. I had a private showing of the Ultra Deep from Omega that actually me and OC went to.
Okay.
And while we were there, they let us try on all the variations of the Ultra Deep. Mm-hmm. And that one by far to me was the most wearable.
Hoff, I
also like NATO's.
Are you going to Watch Time in October?
Yeah, you know what? I will be.
Yeah, I'm thinking of. I was just talking to a couple of guys around coming to New York for the October Watch Time event, and I just wanted to see, like, obviously, those that may be local and stuff like that. If anyone's around,
yeah, absolutely, definitely give me a shout.
We got America.
Guys, tell me you think that's a good looking watch. Like, honestly,
it's something I would wear personally, but I enjoy a lot of divisive watches. So most people don't like the watches I like. I have a particular style.
And, I mean, yeah, everybody's got their own taste. I just, when I look at a Rolex or what you just showed me, and then, because I'm definitely not a super deep watch guy, and then I look at that, and that's just god awful. Like, that's kind of cool looking, man. That thing, Jesus Christ, I don't know if my stepdad...
See, I think the opposite, and I'm a Rolex stan.
But here's the thing, Jax. There's nothing wrong with kind of what you're saying, right? Everybody's kind of got their different tastes, and and this is the part that makes it interesting, is because, everybody, especially in these two pieces, it's very divisive when it comes to, like, what do you like versus what would you wear, and yeah, like, look, personally, I'd wear the Omega, but I can see your point of, like, fuck, you know what, this one is the one I'd be going out with. America says gotta love the Omega double cheeseburger, so there's a bit of trolling on the Omega, and guys, yeah, America, if you're there, I'll definitely. Yeah, no problem, Jonathan. Are you
is ready. So thank you very much for having me on, and talk to you next time.
All
See you,
good,
Higgins.
Jonathan.
Take care,
See you, man.
Jonathan.
Yeah. So yeah, America, if you're going to watch time as well, you know, I'm definitely considering coming down. It's like a direct flight from me here in Canada, so I could make it pretty easily, and then yeah, a bunch of us could probably, you know, we can do some dinners or, you know, cigars,
Absolutely.
drinks, and stuff like that. Yeah, we could figure it out. You know, Hoff. Last time
We
I
could
spoke
do
to
our
you,
nice Lugers to the Davidoff Lounge right down the block.
yeah, man. I had a really nice cigar with Muhammad Ali when I met him in London, and you know, we had we met up at Selfridges, and then we had a couple of drinks. We were waiting on somebody, I think from JJ's group, but they couldn't make it. There was, I think, a little too late after work, and so we just had some dinner. And you know, he picked up a couple of nice Cubans, went to a bar, and in the UK you can smoke on the patio. So you know, had a drink, cigar. It was awesome. Muhammad Ali is an amazing guy.
Such a great.
Yeah, dude. If you ever go to London, man, like I would definitely ring him up. He's really good. But yeah, so last time I spoke to you, well, a couple weeks ago, obviously we spoke a few days ago, but a couple weeks ago, I reached out to you asking you, could you send me a picture of your meteorite, the
Yes.
crown of the meteorite? A buddy of mine had just purchased a meteorite from.
I thought you were trying to legit check me, by the way.
No. A friend
I'm
of
breaking
mine,
your chops.
yeah, dude. A friend of mine bought a meteorite from a very, very trusted dealer, and sends me a message, and he's like, "Hey, the crown on the meteorite, the trip lock, has 3 small dots. And let me see if I can find Rolex.
And that's only
crown.
on divers, right? The GMT definitely shouldn't have that. It should be flat under the crown. No.
Well, if it's a trip lock, there's and I'm gonna pull up a picture here of
Right, but I don't think GMTs have trip locks.
See, that's why you just need an Explorer 1, man. That's the only watch you need. That's it.
You know, it was the first Rolex I've ever turned down on my wrist. And I didn't turn it down because I didn't like it. I turned it down because it just wasn't the right time and I wasn't in the right head for it. But I actually got offered an Explorer 40 last week.
Shit. I'd take the 39 or the 40, and I wouldn't want anything else, and I'd beat the hell out of it.
Yeah, I really was surprised how much I did enjoy it on the wrist. What happened was I referred one of my friends to my ADs, and this is what drives me nuts when you refer a friend, and they were asking for, you know, they asked them for like 3 different watches. The Explorer 40 was the first one that came in, and then they just bailed on him. So he had called me. It was like, hey, I have this in, like, you know, your buddy just bailed on me. Do you want to check it out? So I was like, you know what? I felt obligated to at least go down and try it on. And, you know, I was bullshitting, catching up with him for a little bit. And yeah, it's just amazing how light it is. And the one thing I just couldn't, from my collection, it's just where I am right now. If I were to get that, that would be my everyday watch and ultimately kick my Omega Seamaster 2250-450, like the sword hands Omega, with the aluminum bezel. And I just really still love that watch so much that I kind of passed for the moment. But I have a feeling I'm going to double back on that one.
See, I've never gotten to try one on. I've never actually worn a Rolex or even tried one on. But like, that's the only one that I ever saw that I actually said that I would buy if I had.
It truly, after trying it on, I totally get why people say that's a true one and done.
Yeah.
This is a Danny Govberg comment for those that know the term beach to tux. Kelswood says a 39mm Explorer 1 is the most wearable watch. Beach to tux. That's what Danny Govberg called the Nautilus beach to tux. Best all-rounder, works for everyone. I had a 39 Explorer, and I thought the proportions were off. Like, it just felt small, and it just and Jin was wearing his 36, and I thought the 36 just proportionally was better. So
Is
if
there
they have
something different with the loom on a 39 or something?
Yeah, you're probably thinking the Mark 1 and the Mark 2. So
right,
I had a Mark
where
2.
some had a white gold 369 and the Mark 2 had the loom 369.
Yeah,
but all modern ones have
Okay.
the loom 369.
So the one that is in loom, Jax, is referred to as the T-Rex hands. Had smaller hands for the watch, and so they call it the T-Rex hands Mark 1. But yeah, like it never really was my cup of tea. And yeah, I can kind of see where you're coming from, Hoff, on that. And it's, you know, but there are people who love it, right? Like Kelsowitz is saying it's really versatile and he loves it. Back to the
Yeah, and
trip lock thing.
to correct myself, like the only reason I didn't jump on it is it just wasn't the right time. You know, when you're just not in the head, and I didn't have like that cash liquid at the moment. And also, Tan, as you know, it was a day after my whole car mishap where I had all the mineral staining on the hood and had to go handle that stuff. So
Bro,
I was
I'd be
just like,
losing my shit. I'd be losing my shit if that happened.
after, and then I ended up getting the ceramic coating and all this stuff. So I spent probably like $2,000 on that stuff that to me, just came out of the blue. So then to drop like another $8,000, I was just like, what am I doing? I got to think about this one. And I'm not just gonna buy this because I feel obligated. And you know what? In fairness, if my AD did make me feel obligated, I probably would have just thrown it on a card and figured it out. But he was very upfront that like, hey, if you don't want it, don't worry. There's a long list of people that want this watch. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't something you were waiting on, which I appreciated.
Yeah, that's cool, man. At least he reached out to you. Like that's definitely. I'm sure if they called JJ would be fucking over there like in fucking 2
No,
minutes.
I know most people would be, but you know what? I also think that's why I have the relationship I do with my AD, because I'm always honest with him when something doesn't feel right. I remember when the tutor, what's the tutor on the NATO? I'm blanking on the Pelagos FXD.
FXD, yeah.
Yeah. So when that came out, I was so geeked to get that watch. And, I asked them for it. They gave me the first one, a shot at the first one they got. And I had it on my wrist. And for whatever reason, the way the lugs like draped down for the NATO to slip through, it just hit my ulnar bone on my wrist and was so uncomfortable. And it like broke my heart. And he was like, well, just get a different band. And I was like, ultimately, I just know this is a watch, especially this like first run is something collectors are someone's really going to appreciate this watch. And I know right away, like how this is fitting me, that this is just going to be a watch that sits in my box. And ultimately that I feel like that conversation was like started a new chapter in our friendship, let's say.
Cool.
So it was a good comment you made, Hoff, around the GMT having a trip lock versus a twin lock. Now, the photo you sent me is a trip lock, and everybody else. So the Meteorite has a trip lock, and so
so the regular.
I would assume it's a twin lock. Because I mean, yeah, like the divers have the trip lock. Maybe I could go up and look at my Pepsi if it has a trip lock. I'm not sure. But this is the picture my friend sent me. So he bought a Meteorite Pepsi from.
I'll pull mine. Pause. I'll pull mine out. Right.
All right. So Meteorite Pepsi. This is my friend's photo. He bought it from a very, very trusted dealer, and he sends me this photo, and he's like, "Hey, man, do you know anybody who has a Meteorite Pepsi? Because I think that the crown is off." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, well, the 3 dots, Jax. If you see the 3 dots are the same size, that actually
mine has the middle ones bigger than the outer 2.
Exactly. So if I show you this table, on the left it says steel at the bottom is 3 similar size dots, and then oro blanco, which is white gold, is you have 3 dots, but the middle one is larger. Signifies white gold, right? So so my buddy's freaking out. He's like, "Did I get a fake watch? Like, what the hell?" Like, and I said, "Look, it's fucking unusual for a dealer or a gray market dealer to just swap out a crown. Like, that's very weird, right? To do that."
And those are all the same size, right? Like, I'm not seeing it wrong.
Yeah. This is exactly the point, Jax. Is
okay.
This is supposed to be what would be on a stainless steel because of the 3 dots being the same size. So he's fucking freaking out. He's like, and I said to him, I said, "Bro, like, you can't really fake a gold watch. Like, is it heavy? Like, did you weigh it? You could probably figure it out." And he's like, "Yeah." And I actually saw the watch that he bought because the same dealer tried to sell it to me when I was selling my AP and stuff like that. So I said, "Okay." And he sent it back, and the dealer was cool. He's like, "Yeah, we'll send it to RSC and we'll get it authenticated or corrected if it needs to be. No problem."
Did you buy it used or new?
It was used. It was used. And
so do you think maybe it got sent back for repairs and they accidentally put the wrong?
Nah, that's the mystery, right? Is why would it be this way? Why would it be a stainless steel crown on a Meteorite? Now, it could be a couple of things. It could be that it was actually, swapped out by somebody previously, right? That's the worry. It could be that Rolex made a mistake and has an error that this is actually a white gold crown, but it has a stainless steel 3 dots, because the one Hoff sent me, because Hoff, I immediately pinged Hoff and I'm like, yo, I know you have a meteorite. Can you just send me a picture? Hoff obviously thought I was trolling him.
No, I did, but I thought it'd be funny for the street.
Well,
yeah.
The dial, couldn't you just like acid test or something to see what the material is on the dial?
Well, that was the,
if I was your friend, I would just bring it straight to Rolex.
Well, that's exactly it, right? So where we live, there's an AD, but there's no Rolex service center. But he sent it back to Toronto, and the dealer's in Toronto. And the dealer was totally cool. He's like, "Yeah, man, like I'll send it to RSC. If it needs a crown, we'll give it to you. Or worst case, we'll authenticate it." Now, I kind of told him, I said, if it comes back authenticated by Rolex as being legit, right? Like, bro, I would keep this crown because it's an error. Like, it's
it's a misprint.
Yeah, it's a misprint. Like, that's actually pretty cool that you have this.
That's like baseball cards when we were kids, man. You get like a misprint baseball card.
Yes.
Exactly. Because it was such a mystery. And I was kind of messaging Hoff, because Hoff sent me his picture, and Hoff's is legit. It's exactly how it should be, where it has the big dot in the middle. And it's interesting because I pinged a bunch of people. Like, I pinged Bear, I pinged a bunch of people. And this is just so nerdy that like most people wouldn't know this. With the trip lock.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking nerdy, bro. But
dude, when I pinged Hoff and other people are kind of like, "Why the fuck are you asking me this? Like, what do you?"
I like it though. I think it's cool. I like that.
Yeah, it's such a fucking mystery right now, and he still hasn't heard back yet from RSC, because I don't know. Maybe there's a backlog.
By the way, can anyone with a stainless steel Pepsi confirm whether it has a twin lock? It's driving me insane right now. I'm like 100% certain my Pepsi on Jubilee had.
Or did they make two kinds? Did they make some with like your buddies, and then the kind that Hoff has? Did they maybe make both?
No, they definitely didn't make both, because all the white gold ones are signified this way, right? Let me see if I can find a picture of a.
See, I'm the way you are.
Oh no, it is a trip lock on stainless. I'm looking at a
Yeah, I'm this way with cars about the way you are with this shit. The detail stuff. I'm that way.
Oh, yeah, exactly. With cars, it's the devil's in the details with cars, right? Like, I was at my car meet yesterday, and people were asking me about my car, and I kind of explained like, hey, the paint is like what Lamborghini calls ad personam, or individual, or it's one that you pay extra for a special paint that you choose. Versus like your standard, like whatever it comes from the factory and stuff.
I'm talking about more like vintage stuff, like like muscle cars and stuff, like engine codes and like numbers of transmissions and shit. Like, I'm into all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, like matching numbers.
Like what an LS6 is, or what an L34 is, or an L35, or like that kind of stuff. An M20, M21, M22 transmission, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I love the custom paints too, because like Audi has an Audi Sport Nogaro blue that they only do for like RS version cars. So my friend got ordered an RS6 and got it in that blue. It just looks so insane. But it's like one of those things that no one appreciates except for car nerds. You know what I mean? No one gets it, because there's a blue that looks almost exactly like it called Navarra blue, but it's just a tinge off that you really have to be an enthusiast to appreciate.
Right.
Yeah.
I build bikes, Tan. You know that, right?
Sorry?
You know I build bikes, right?
I didn't know that. Wow. I was I didn't know that.
You didn't see that on Nick's stream when he posted the bike that I finished?
No. If you have it, I'll pull it up.
It's on Nick's. If you go to the Watch Nicholas original channel, it should be on his community page. It says Jax next to it. But I mean motorcycles, not bicycles.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I used to have a 911 GT3 in this color. It's called Riviera Blue. And it was the original paint. It was the launch color for the 993 911. So that's the one in the 90s.
Love that blue.
Yeah, it's interesting because when you see this blue, it's like kind of what Hoff was describing. It's just a hue different than a Mexico blue or other blues that are out there that could be, or even a lot of people would say it's Miami blue. And I'll show you guys a Miami blue.
You know why I love things like this too? Because once someone comes up to you and points out that they know that special color,
you
know right away, like they're one of you. You know, like you're one of
Oh
them.
yeah, they're a gearhead. Man.
There's that instant camaraderie.
They're a gearhead for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is Miami blue, right? So this has a bit more of a like
Green.
green. It's
Yeah,
exactly
like a
it.
turquoise-ish.
Yeah, whereas mine was more like a sky, like light blue.
Yeah.
And just a beautiful color. But it's like that, right? People are like, oh, like what blue is that? And every blue is different. And you know, mine was maybe one, like, because what would happen is I would post it on Instagram, and I'd have people around the world, like in Dubai and stuff, that are like, oh shit, like I knew that there was 3 in the world, and now I know that you have one and I have one. I'm trying to find the third person, and it's really cool to see that, right?
So cool.
if
That
you
to
can't
me,
find
that's
that-
like what makes this shit.
America pulled the Batman, all 3 dots, so trip lock on the GMT. So maybe the older GMTs were twin lock.
Wow.
And the new ones are trip lock. Mine's in this bank safe, so I haven't really had a chance to look.
If you can't find that tan, I could email it to you or something. I don't know.
Yeah, you know what? I'll let me pull it up in a second. We got Mental Jock. Mental Jock, we're talking cars here, buddy. We got your favorite car on the screen. We got the fucking GT3 RS up here on the screen. I know Mental Jock's a big fan of the GT3 RS. Come on, Jax. You don't like the everybody likes the GT3. How do you
Yeah,
not
I
like
was
the
gonna
fucking
say,
GT3
how do you
RS?
That's
not
exactly
like-
why, man. That's exactly. You want me to tell you honestly why? Because
Fucking-
every new crypto boy, like
Fair enough. I hear you.
billionaire has like 5 Skittles that they buy. I call them Skittles. And they get this car, they get a 720, they get a Lambo, they get a fucking Ferrari SF90 or something. They're all the same. It's just everybody has it.
Yeah.
You know what I want to see? I want to see the Porsche from Bad Boys, dude.
I
Like a
do like the
964.
touring version of the GT3 better, but I don't think that's an RS. Is it the one without the wing?
No, it's not. The Touring is a GT3 only.
I mean, it's a beautiful car, and it's got the Y-Stack package on it or whatever it looks like in this photo or whatever. And there you go, man. I think the video or
Oh,
photo.
wow. So it's like a supermoto.
Yeah, I build supermotos, man.
Oh, amazing. Oh, we got to get Mike the Snake on here. He's got a Ducati Hypermotard.
Yeah, I just finished that like a week and a half ago.
So what kind of bike is that? A KTM?
Yep, 350 SXF.
Wow, very cool.
Thanks.
Yeah, I love bikes.
Thanks, man.
Dude, did I tell you see Curly's reaction when I told him about the Bucherer Harley Davidson bike that came out?
No.
I'll show you the
Oh, wait.
Bucherer blue Harley. I don't know if you've seen this, but it's fucking.
Oh, it's like that custom chopper.
yeah, it's a custom chopper. I'll pull it up.
Yeah, no, I do remember.
This is just like it's just insane. It's like what the fuck is this?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
more an art piece than anything you'll ever ride if you value your spine.
Oh yeah, there's no giving that unless it's got an airbag hidden in the back there by the fender somewhere.
Oh, dude, this is like I don't know. Like obviously, I can't see Curly riding this or anybody riding this. It's just ridiculous. It's just funny because Jax, they did a collab with a watch, a watch dealer with
Yeah.
Bucherer, and they custom this fucking Harley Davidson, which is, I mean, it's a cool idea. It's just it's a little. I think it sold for like 1.9 million or some fucking shit.
Of course
crazy.
it did. Of course it did.
All right, G Gadwin knows what's up. He's talking about RWB.
Oh yeah, raw welt begriff.
So Nakai-san actually did a car for a friend of mine locally here. He named it after his daughter and whatnot. But he flies across the world. You can commission. So he actually works on 964s, 993s, and he started on. I think he's done some 997s as well now. 911.
Well, like the 964 from the movie Bad Boys, the first movie, the black 964, like that's my kind of Porsche. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
RWB, I think it's called the Stella Artois. Is his actual car.
yeah,
Nakai's
Nakai's is called Stella Artois.
Yeah, I'll pull up the Stella Artois here for you guys. So you guys see it. Fucking cool shit, man. Like this is.
There it is.
Yeah, so I think this is a 964. Yeah, it's not a 993. It's a 964.
Yeah, that thing's sick. Nakai's awesome, man. He just smokes like a chimney and drinks Coca-Cola. I fucking love him.
I don't know if you've ever seen this guy chop up a car, but he literally shows like it's exactly what Jax is describing. He flies into your city. You have to buy the car. You pay for his kit. He flies in. He has to smoke in your building, and he's just hacking cigarettes while he's hacking like your fenders. He's just chopping your shit up, and these are like
everything is up to you too. Like you buy what kit you want from him, and then they ship it to you from Japan, and it's your job to get it painted to match your car, and then he basically shows up and just puts everything together for you right there in your garage or wherever you've got your car set up. Like, it's fucking crazy.
So that was a 964. I'll show you a 993. This is a newer, yeah, like this is wild, man. Like, and these are.
And then I really want to go left with someone who mods Porsches that I find amazing after you're done.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of them, right? There's Singer that do like resto mods on Porsches. And then there's what the fuck is the other one? A buddy of mine's trying to buy them. It's something like Gunter Works. Gunter Works does it as well.
Well, there's so many like Porsche guys that hate Nakai because he's basically chopping up these original Porsches to do this, and like
classic collectors probably. You know, it's like us watching someone bust down a watch.
right.
Yeah,
exactly.
You know what's interesting? It's so back in the day when these cars weren't worth as much money, it was, you know, it's kind of whatever. But Jax is right. Like now, a 993 or 964, they're pretty expensive. So you're 100 grand just trying to buy the car before you even get into like buying the kit and paying for the guy to fly in and shit like that.
The car from Bad Boys, I think, is a Carrera 3.6. I think 964 Carrera. I think that's what that.
I think it's a 964 turbo. Let me see.
Yeah, Carrera like 3.6 turbo. Yeah, if you look that, or it's a 3.8. I can't remember, but if you look that up, that car now is like close to $1 million. I think.
Oh, bro. 964 turbos are crazy money in and of themselves. I'll pull up the Bad Boys one here.
Yeah, that's my favorite. If I could have any Porsche, there it is right there. That's Porsche, dude.
Yeah, with those rear wheel wells are sex in steel. I mean,
it's got that's
the poster every teenage boy has on their wall.
That's got the Speedline wheels on it, man. The RS wheels, like that thing is sick.
Hoff, are you sending me safaris here? Like, what are you sending me here?
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. That
Safari.
My habit of being divisive.
Bro.
Yeah.
I find these amazing because I've always, ever since a kid, been obsessed with the 959. What do you call Rothman cross country?
Yeah.
Rally Porsche. And this is like literally you're able to get one.
It was the Dakar rally, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, the Dakar, yeah. But
so Daniel Arsham actually has one of these that he collabed with Stone Island, that they made a custom one for him, and he drives it all the time. You see him drive it on his Instagram lives or in his stories and stuff, and it's so badass seeing him rip this thing off road, or especially in like horrible city streets too around Manhattan, and it just sounds so insane.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, I think Jerry Seinfeld has one of these as well, and he
of course he does. Of course,
apparently he goes to the Porsche Club meets out around like Jersey or New York pretty often. But yeah, he's a huge Porsche fan. Ooh, this is a good one.
What's funny is this is like I love Forza Horizon for those who have Xbox and play car games. You could kind of build. It has 900 cars, and you could mod them in any way. And it has real parts and rims and body kits you could put on them. And this is literally one of my favorite cars in that game. That's why when I found out like there's someone who actually builds them, it blew my mind.
This is a good question for America. He's asking, what's the ongoing consensus on the roof in these enthusiast communities? So the roofs, are they tuned Porsches from back in the day? Do they do good work? Overhyped? Roof is like very...
That's top of the food chain, no?
It is top of the food chain.
They're like the first company to be allowed to have their own.
Yeah, it's like AMG is to Benz.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. That's exactly
the Yellowbird was like the original, just... Like, it blew everything away. The original roof Yellowbird, like the one from 80, whatever it was. Roof's amazing.
Yeah.
There was this dentist that used to live on the way the school bus used to take us. I'll never forget, as a little kid, he'd have 3 Porsches sitting outside his house. It was like one of those houses that are a ranch, and like it's a big house, and the dentist office is in like one side of the house. And then in the front, he just had 3 different color Porsches, and the one in the middle had the giant roof window sticker that I never just forgot. And it was a yellow one at that.
And see, that's the new version of the Yellowbird, or the CTR, the one above it. The one more,
the one above it, yeah. So this is the SCR. This is, like you said, this is a newer version.
I love that green.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know if it's like a British racing green or...
Yeah, that's what it reminds me of.
What's the famous car museum in LA? Where Peterson?
Yeah,
The Peterson
I believe
Automotive
so.
Museum.
Yeah.
Okay, so the guy that owns that, Bruce Meyer, he has one of the original '80s roof Yellowbirds, and there's that video on YouTube of it ripping around the Nürburgring, like going sideways and all that shit. Like that video, I've watched it like 100 times.
You know, it's a good call. As many times as I've been to LA, I've never been to that museum. I got to put that on the schedule next time.
It's amazing.
All right, boys, I gotta round off. It's been 2 hours. I gotta actually dip. But I appreciate, obviously, everybody joined the panel. My boy Jax, Hoff on Smash. We had Higgins. We
nice to meet you, Jax.
Yeah, man. Listen, I saw the stream was up, and I thought, like, what? I thought something happened legit because I woke up and I was like, I don't see Archie. What the fuck's going on?
When Archie's away, we talk cars, we talk watches.
Yeah, because otherwise, if you talk cars with Archie, you'll be talking about Cadillac Brogums.
No, we talk about fucking Ford Model Ts with Archie, man.
Well, that or you'll upset Bear. You'll upset Bear if you talk about cars.
Well, Bear's on vacation. That's why we're getting away with this right now.
That's true. Yeah.
We got one more. We got one more here before we go. We got 550 California from Jimmy, who says, Super chat. Where have you been? Talking cars with Tan, Hoff, and Jax is always to be seen. Yeah, sorry, my rhymes suck. Good show, boys.
Jimmy, we love Jimmy.
Jax, you should hop on later with Archie tonight if you're around. He definitely digs car talk. He digs, a lot of. He's really into cars and stuff like that. And we try not to sidetrack it too much because this is a watch channel, but a lot of us are big car enthusiasts. And
are you going to do more of like this while Bear's going, Tan?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
It was. For me, it's just whenever I have some free time. Like last night, like usually weekends are a bit tough because I do a lot of the car stuff on the weekends. I was supposed to do a rally today, but it's fucking raining. So
yeah, it's raining in Ohio too, bro.
Yeah, people didn't. These fuckers. I'm like, man, rallies. You take your car on the rain. Who cares? But these guys didn't want to. So yeah. So I figured I had some time, but I do got to run because I gotta. My wife wants to go out, so I'll leave you guys. But appreciate you guys joining us. Archie will be on in about, I'd say,
4.5 hours, something like that.
4.5 hours, and we're gonna have an action-packed show tonight, and hopefully everybody around can join us tonight. And
I'm gonna definitely try to join. I might have a party to go to, but I'm a game time, so if I'm around, I'll definitely be on.
I just want to say one more thing, Tan. I actually have something that I think you would want, and I have no use for it. So if you're in the cars, you know who Gintani is, right?
Of course. Who doesn't know Gintani?
Okay, so I won the giveaway. I have the Gintani helmet signed by Alex right now in my garage.
Holy shit!
Do you want to see it?
100%, man. Yeah, I'm gonna wait.
All right,
for this.
hang on one second. It's right here. Hang on 1 second, okay?
All right. Well, Jax goes and does. So Gintani, they tune a lot of like high-end stuff. Most famously, you'll know them from tuning Daily Driven Exotics, which is a famous YouTube channel. Nico's actually been on their channel and stuff. So Gintani did, I think they're McLaren.
And they're known for like the back flame, right? Of the car exhaust.
That's
yeah,
right.
like the
Gintani exhaust.
Yeah. Full screen it.
Full screen, baby.
Okay, here's the box. All right, check this out. I want to sell it, dude. I'm never going to use it, so maybe you and I should talk.
Yeah, man. Let me have a look.
All right, here's the bag that it came in. Okay.
All right, the dust bag.
Yep, it's brand new.
That's the box and papers of the helmet world, fellas.
Absolutely. Now check this out. You can actually go back and verify. You can watch the video. I can actually send you the clip where my name was drawn, Jax Unfiltered, and I won the giveaway. So,
yo, that's sick.
Check this out. All right, now look here. Wait, which side am I going? Boom, Alex, right there.
Wow. Fuck, that's nice, man. That's really nice.
Something nice for the behind the desk.
Jax, I dropped you my email in the private chat. Let's talk for sure.
Yeah, man. Because I'm more of a phone guy. I'm old school, man. I'm like 42. But yeah, I'll email you and then I'll send you my number. But this, I've never tried it on. I put it in the bag. I won it. They shipped it to me. Actually, this is the shirt. See Gintani that they sent me when I won the helmet.
That's wild.
Yep, there's the shirt I'm wearing right there. But yeah, dude, it's still got the sticker on the glass. There you go.
Oh man,
that is a beauty.
Yeah, so Jax, just a heads up. So, obviously when you were gone, I was explaining like the connection with Daily Driven Exotics,
right?
And Tani, because they do a lot of the work for Daily Driven Exotics. And I'm a member of Ace Spade Rally, which Daily Driven Exotics went on multiple Ace Spade rallies, and I met like Mad Whips, who's part of the Daily Different Exotics like family and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And I've met Shmi and these guys. So, you know, for me to have something like this would be pretty cool because, you know, I have that connection with people that are really tight with DD and stuff. So,
and I have nowhere to display it, man. Like I won the giveaway. I thought it was awesome. I never win anything. And like, it's been sitting in my garage in the box, and like, I never take it out. Like it just sits in my garage.
And that's dope. You know, and my buddies may be going through Ohio because Ace Spade Rally is going on in a couple of weeks as well. And a couple of my friends are on it, and they may be going through Ohio. So I'll sync up with you. We can chat around.
Yeah, or I can ship it. They shipped it to me, bro. I mean, if we work something out, or if you really want it, I can priority ship it and make sure it's safe. Like
this one's for you, Jax. From Sturdy Danny says, Jax, you haven't made it until Chingao is on the helmet in whiteout because Mike the Snake did that on his he did that on his bike jacket, bro. I would honestly, I think it'd be a great show with like Mike, Archie, Jax, me, like just riffing about cars and stuff.
Absolutely.
Well, there's only one blonde-haired grifter over here.
Amazing.
And America's being a ruthless motherfucker. He's like, you better give him a top price, better be ruthless.
Yeah. We know Tan can afford it. No, I'll be fair about it.
Yeah,
man. Like I said, I want it for free, but I legitimately would rather see somebody enjoy it, display it. I don't have anywhere to display it. It has sat in my garage now for like 2 months, and I've showed it to 2 people. And that's it.
I'm the same way with that type of stuff. And as a collector, you know, like if you're not appreciating something to its full level, like I used to be super into collecting cars, and I just got to a point where it's these vinyl toys by this artist, and I just like fell out of favor with it. And I was just like, let me get this out of here, but I want to make sure they go to people that would really appreciate them. You know what I mean? Because when you know how much something should mean to someone, you want to make sure that something that you know is important goes to the right home. So
I thought Tan would like that.
Oh man, that's fucking wild. Like I'm so fucking into this.
It's funny on the back too.
And the color. I mean, that's pretty on brand for you, Tan.
Well, and this is paint. This is paint. They custom painted this for the giveaway winner. Like, it's not a wrap. Like, they bought the helmet, they customized it, they painted it, and then Alex signed it on the YouTube video live, which you can go to on their channel and watch him actually sign this on YouTube.
You know, David H is asking a question to me. Are you part of the Flat Six Club in Toronto? You know, they're actually doing, I believe, their grand opening this weekend. So I was invited. I am part of Saturn's Drives and Ace Spade Rally, and they're going for the grand opening of Flat Six, which is like a high-end like club for car enthusiasts. And I was invited to the grand opening. I unfortunately can't go. My nephew's going, and my brother-in-law is going to it. So they're going to send me some photos and stuff, but I'll check it out when I'm in Toronto next. But I got to run, guys. My wife's yelling.
Yes,
I'm getting your email, right? I'm getting your email now, brother.
Yeah, bro. I got you in the private chat, and I'll chat with you guys in a couple hours.
All right. Take care.
Take care.
All right, man. Are you staying on here, Hoff, or what are you doing?